Jake Martinez woke up to a strange blue light filling his bedroom. His digital clock showed 3:17 a.m. The light was bright but soft, like moonlight, but wrong. He rubbed his eyes and looked around his small Denver apartment bedroom. Everything looked normal except for that weird glow. Then he saw her. A woman was lying in his bed, right next to him. She was not there when he went to sleep. She was completely naked and her skin had a pale blue color that seemed to glow slightly in the dark. Her hair was silver white and fell across his pillow like liquid metal. Jake jumped out of bed so fast that he hit his knee on the nightstand. Pain shot through his leg, but he barely noticed. His heart was beating so hard he could hear it. This was not possible. People do not just appear in other people's beds. This had to be a dream. But it was not a dream. The woman was real. She was breathing slowly like she was unconscious. Her body had strange marks on it that looked like burns but glowed with a faint red light. 3 long cuts ran across her left side and they were bleeding something that looked like silver instead of red blood. Jake stood there in his boxers, staring. His first thought was to call the police. His second thought was to run. His third thought was that this woman, whatever she was, looked hurt and needed help. He grabbed a blanket from his closet and carefully covered her body. She did not wake up when he touched her shoulder. Her skin felt warm but not like human skin. It was smoother and had a strange electric feeling like touching a phone screen. The glowing cuts on her side were still bleeding. Jake had taken first aid classes when he worked as a camp counselor in college. He knew he needed to stop the bleeding. He went to his bathroom and got his first aid kit. His hands were shaking as he opened it. When he came back, the woman's eyes were open. They were completely silver with no white parts at all. She looked at him and said something in a language that sounded like music mixed with static electricity. Her voice was beautiful, but the words made no sense. Jake held up his hands to show he was not dangerous. "Hey, it's okay. You're hurt. I want to help you." She tried to sit up but winced in pain and lay back down. She touched something on her neck that looked like a small silver dot. Suddenly she spoke again, but this time Jake could understand her. "Where am I?" she asked. Her voice still sounded musical, but now he could understand the words. "You're in my apartment in Denver, in Colorado, on Earth." Jake stayed a few steps away from the bed. "I'm Jake. Who are you? How did you get here?" The woman looked around, the room with confusion. She saw his computer, his clothes on the chair, his stack of programming books. Everything seemed strange to her. "Earth?" She touched the silver dot on her neck again. "This is the 3rd planet in the Sol system? The one with the primitive species?" Jake did not like being called primitive, but decided this was not the time to argue. "Yeah, that's Earth. You're bleeding pretty badly. Can I help you with those cuts?" She looked down at her injuries and nodded slowly. "My name is Zara. I am from the Keth of our empire. My ship was damaged and my emergency transport brought me here by mistake." Jake moved closer with his first aid supplies. The cuts looked deep, but not as bad as he first thought. The silver blood was already starting to slow down. He cleaned around the wounds gently. "How did you just appear in my bed? Is your ship nearby?" "My transport system moves matter instantly across space. When it was damaged, it picked a random safe location. I did not mean to come here." Zara watched Jake clean her wounds with surprise. "Why are you helping me? You do not know me. You're hurt, and you need help. That's enough reason." Jake put bandages over the cuts. They were not perfect, but they would stop the bleeding. "In my species, we help people who are in trouble." Zara stared at him. "Even strangers? Even people who are not your own kind? Especially strangers?" Jake sat on the edge of the bed, being careful not to make her uncomfortable. "Are you running from something? You said your ship was damaged." Zara was quiet for a long moment. She looked scared. "I took something that belongs to my government. Information that proves they have been doing terrible things. I was trying to get it to people who could stop them, but they found me and shot down my ship." "What kind of terrible things?" "They destroy entire planets full of innocent people. They tell everyone these people are dangerous, but they are not. They are just weak and cannot fight back. My people kill them all and take their worlds. Jake felt sick. That's genocide. What is genocide? It means killing a whole group of people just because of who they are. It's one of the worst crimes there is. Zara looked surprised again. Your people have a word for this? You think it is wrong? Of course it's wrong. Any decent person knows that. Jake looked at her with confusion. Don't your people think it's wrong to kill innocent people? Most of my people think it is necessary. Weak species should make room for strong ones. Only I and a few others believe it is wrong. Zara's silver eyes looked sad. That is why I stole the proof. But now I am trapped here and they will find me soon. Jake stood up and walked to his window. He looked out at the quiet street below. Normal people living normal lives. They had no idea that alien wars were happening in space above them. How long do we have before they come looking for you? I do not know, maybe days, maybe hours. When they find me, they will kill me, and they will probably kill you too for helping me. Jake turned back to her. Zara was sitting up now, holding the blanket around herself. She looked small and scared despite being an alien from an advanced civilization. Then we better figure out how to keep you hidden. Jake went to his dresser and pulled out some of his clothes. Here, put these on. You can't stay naked. Zara took the clothes with confusion. You are not afraid of me? I am from a species that your people do not know exists. I could be dangerous. Jake shrugged. You're bleeding and scared and asking for help. You don't seem dangerous to me. He paused. Besides, if you wanted to hurt me, you probably would have done it already. As Zara slowly put on his oversized t-shirt and sweatpants, Jake realized his life had just changed forever. A few hours ago, his biggest worry was a bug in his coat at work. Now he was hiding an alien refugee from space soldiers who might destroy his planet. But looking at Zara, who was trying to figure out how human clothes worked, Jake knew he had made the right choice. Some things were more important than being safe. Sometimes you had to help people even when it was dangerous, even when they were not people from your own world. 3 days passed since Zara appeared in Jake's bed. She was feeling better and the strange glowing cuts were almost healed. Jake had called in sick to work, telling his boss he had the flu. He could not exactly say he was taking care of an alien. Refugee Zara was fascinated by everything in Jake's apartment. She spent hours watching his TV, amazed that humans created stories just for entertainment. She studied his books about computer programming and asked endless questions about how human society worked. Your people choose their own leaders? She asked while eating cereal at his kitchen table. She had trouble using the spoon at first but was getting better. Yeah, we vote for them. Every few years we pick new ones if we don't like how they're doing. Jake was making coffee and trying to act like having an alien in his kitchen was normal. But what if the leaders are weak? What if stronger people want to take over? Then they have to wait for the election like everyone else. We have laws that stop people from just taking power by force. Zara shook her head. In my empire, the strongest person leads until someone stronger kills them or defeats them in combat. Your way seems slow. Maybe, but it means fewer people die when leadership changes. That afternoon, while Zara was learning to use Jake's computer, the TV news started showing strange reports. People in Colorado were seeing lights in the mountains at night. Some hikers found burned trees in a perfect circle. The military said it was just training exercises, but the reporters looked confused. Zara went very still when she saw the news. Her face turned pale, which was hard to see with her blue skin, but Jake was learning to read her expressions. What is it? He asked. They found me. Her voice was barely a whisper. Someone is here looking for me. How do you know? The burned circle. That is what our ships do when they land. And they would send a hunter, not a whole army. Zara started pacing around the small living room. Hunters are the best warriors in the Empire. They never give up until their target is dead. Jake felt cold fear in his stomach. How long do we have? Not long. The hunter will scan for my energy signature. All living things from my world have a special energy pattern. He will follow it right to me. Can we block it somehow? Zara looked surprised. You want to fight a Kethvar hunter? Jake, your species does not even have space travel yet. A hunter could kill 100 of your soldiers without being hurt. Maybe we can't fight him, but we can be smarter than him. Jake was already thinking. His programmer mind was working on the problem like it was a bug in code. What kind of energy does this signature give off? It is similar to what you call electromagnetic radiation, but more complex. Jake grinned. I know something about electromagnetic radiation. He spent the next few hours moving electronic devices around his apartment. He plugged in every radio, TV, computer, and phone he owned. He even borrowed equipment from his neighbors, telling them he was doing an experiment for work. Soon his apartment was filled with humming electronics. This might mask your energy signature, he explained to Zara, like hiding a whisper in a room full of people talking. Zara watched him work with growing amazement. You understand complex physics? Not really, but I understand how signals work. It's part of my job. Jake connected his laptop to a router and started running programs that would send random electromagnetic pulses. In my world, we learned that sometimes being clever is better than being strong. On the second night after the news report started, they got their first real sign that the hunter was close. Jake's neighbor, Mrs. Baker, knocked on his door around midnight. Jake, dear, there's someone asking questions about you, the elderly woman said. She looked worried. Big fellow, dressed strange. Said he was from the government, but he didn't show any ID. Asked if I'd seen you with anyone unusual lately. Jake felt his heart racing. What did you tell him? I told him I mind my own business and he should too. Mrs. Baker smiled. But he scared me, Jake. Something was wrong with his eyes. They reflected light like an animal's. After Mrs. Baker left, Jake knew they were running out of time. He and Zara made plans. If the hunter found them, Jake would try to distract him while Zara ran. It was not a good plan, but it was the only one they had. The next morning, Jake was making breakfast when someone knocked on his door. Not the gentle knock of Mrs. Baker, but hard, demanding knocks that shook the doorframe. Jake Martinez, a voice called from outside. The voice was deep and had an accent Jake had never heard before. Open the door, we know she is in there. Jake looked at Zara, who had gone completely white. She mouthed one word. Hunter. Stay in the bedroom, Jake whispered. Then he walked to the door and opened it. The thing standing in his doorway looked mostly human, but wrong in ways that made Jake's skin crawl. It was tall, maybe 7 feet, with muscles that showed through its black clothes. Its skin was gray-green and its eyes were solid black with no pupils. When it smiled, Jake saw teeth that were too sharp and too many. My name is Commander Vex, the creature said. I am here for the criminal Zara of Kethvar. Give her to me and you will not be harmed. I don't know anyone named Zara, Jake said. He was proud that his voice did not shake. Commander Vex stepped into the apartment without being invited. Jake backed up but did not run. The hunter sniffed the air like a dog tracking a scent. Do not lie to me, human. I can smell her on you. I can smell her fear. Vex walked into the living room and looked around at all of Jake's electronic equipment. Clever. Using electromagnetic interference to mask her signature. But not clever enough. Even if I knew this Zara person, why would I give her to you? Vex laughed, and the sound made Jake think of breaking glass. Because I am a hunter of the Kethvar Empire, and you are a primitive human. Because I could kill you as easily as stepping on an insect. Maybe, Jake said. But that doesn't make it right. The hunter stopped laughing and stared at Jake with those terrible black eyes. Right? What is right? The strong take what they want. The weak serve, or die. This is the natural order. That's not natural. That's just being a bully. Before Vex could respond, Zara came out of the bedroom. She was wearing Jake's clothes and holding her hands up to show she was not armed. I am here, Vex. Leave the human alone. He is not part of this. Commander Vex smiled his sharp-toothed smile. Zara, the traitor. You have caused much trouble. The Emperor wants you brought back alive so he can execute you publicly. I will come with you if you promise not to hurt Jake or anyone else on this planet. You are in no position to make bargains. Vex pulled out a weapon that looked like a metal stick but hummed with energy. But I am curious about something. This human helped you. He hid you and protected you. Why would he do this? What did you offer him? Zara looked confused. I offered him nothing. Then why help you? Humans are supposed to be selfish and cruel. Our intelligence reports say your species cares only about yourselves. Jake stepped forward, putting himself between Vex and Zara. He knew it was stupid. The alien could kill him without thinking, but he could not just stand there and watch. Your intelligence reports are wrong, Jake said. We help people because it's the right thing to do, not because we get something from it. Vex stared at Jake for a long moment. Then he started laughing again, but this time the laugh sounded confused instead of mean. You truly believe this? That helping strangers is good? Of course I do. Most humans do. Even when it puts you in danger, even when you gain nothing? Especially then. Commander Vex stopped laughing. He looked back and forth between Jake and Zara like he was seeing something impossible. Interesting, he said finally. Very interesting. Perhaps the Emperor needs to know about this. He raised his weapon and pointed it at Jake's chest. But first I have a job to finish. That was when Jake realized that his programmer brain had been working on this problem for 3 days, and he might have found a solution. After all, he just hoped he was right about what he had figured out, because if he was wrong, they were both going to die. Jake looked at the energy weapon pointing at his chest and made a decision that would either save them both or get them killed faster. Before you shoot me, Commander Vex, I have something you should know. Jake kept his voice calm, even though his heart was beating so hard he could hear it in his ears. Speak quickly, human. I've been learning about your empire from Zara, and I've been thinking about why you're here alone. Jake took a small step to the side, not trying to run but getting a better angle. Hunters work alone, right? That's what makes you special, Vex. Narrowed his black eyes. What is your point? My point is that you don't have backup. You're here by yourself on a planet with 8 billion humans, and most of them don't even know aliens exist yet. Jake smiled, but it was not a happy smile. That means nobody knows you're here either. I need no backup to kill 2 primitives. Maybe not. But you might need backup for what happens next. Commander Vex tilted his head like a confused animal. What are you talking about? Jake pulled his phone out of his pocket very slowly so Vex would not think he was reaching for a weapon. 3 days ago, when I realized Zara was telling the truth about your empire, I did what any smart human would do. I made copies. Copies of what? Everything. All the data Zara stole from your government, all the proof of your empire's war crimes, her testimony about the genocide, video of her injuries when she first appeared, and video of you threatening to kill me just now. Jake held up his phone. All of it has been uploaded to every major news network, every government, and about 50 different websites. Vex went very still. You are lying, am I? Zara, tell him about human information technology. Zara was staring at Jake with surprise and something that might have been admiration. He is not lying, Vex. Human computer networks connect their entire planet. If Jake put information into their system, millions of people could have copies. By now, that is impossible. You have been here only 3 days. 3 days is a long time when you know what you're doing. Jake was feeling more confident now. I work with computers for a living, remember? I know how to make information spread fast and how to make sure it can't be destroyed. Commander Vex lowered his weapon slightly. Even if this is true, no one will believe such fantastic claims. They might not have believed it yesterday, but today, Jake gestured toward his TV, which was still showing news reports about the mysterious lights and burned circles in the mountains. Today they have evidence that aliens exist. Today they have your ship burning down trees. Today my story doesn't sound crazy anymore. The hunter was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Jake could almost see the calculations happening behind those black eyes. Finally, Vex spoke. What do you want? I want you to let Zara go. I want you to leave Earth alone. And I want you to think about whether your empire really wants to start a war with a species that can spread information faster than you can contain it. You cannot threaten the Kethvar Empire with primitive technology. I'm not threatening you with technology. I'm threatening you with truth. Jake put his phone away. Right now, only a few thousand people have seen the information. But if something happens to me or Zara, it goes everywhere. Every human government, every military, every scientist. 8 billion people will know about your empire and what you've done. Vex raised his weapon again. I could kill you both and destroy all evidence that I was ever here. Could you? Do you know which servers I used? Do you know which people I sent copies to? Do you even know how human internet works? Jake shook his head. You kill us, and you'll just prove everything we said was true. Dead aliens in Denver will make people believe the story even more. For the first time since he entered the apartment, Commander Vex looked uncertain. He was a hunter trained to track and kill single targets. He was not prepared for an enemy that was information itself. Besides, Jake continued, I don't think you came here just to bring Zara back. What else would I be doing? I think you came to see if the information she stole was real. I think some part of you already knows your empire is doing terrible things and you wanted to know the truth. Vex's face changed. For just a moment he looked less like a monster and more like a person who was tired and confused and maybe a little bit sick of killing. The truth does not matter. Orders are orders. The truth always matters. That's something humans learned a long time ago. Jake sat down in his chair, trying to look relaxed even though he was terrified. We had empires too, you know. We had people who thought being strong gave them the right to hurt others. But we learned that was wrong. Your species still fights wars. You still kill each other. Yes, we do. But we also have laws that say genocide is wrong. We have courts that punish people for war crimes. We try to be better than we were. Jake looked directly into Vex's black eyes. The question is, do you want to be better than you are? Zara stepped forward. She was not hiding anymore. Vex, I know you. We served in the same unit before I discovered the truth. You were a good soldier. You protected your people. But what we are doing now is not protecting anyone. It is just murder. I have my orders. You have a choice, Jake said. You can take Zara back and watch your empire execute the only person brave enough to speak the truth. Or you can do what's right. Commander Vex looked back and forth between them again. Jake could see the struggle happening inside the alien hunter. Orders and training fighting against conscience and doubt. Finally, Vex made his decision. But it was not the decision Jake had hoped for. You are both coming with me. The Emperor will decide what to do with you. Vex activated restraints that appeared around Jake's and Zara's wrists like metal bracelets. And if your information has truly spread as you claim, the Emperor will decide what to do with your planet. Wait, Jake said as Vex pushed them toward the door. What does that mean? Vex's sharp-toothed smile returned. It means, clever human, that your species may have just signed its own death sentence. The Empire does not allow primitives to interfere in galactic politics. If Earth has become a threat, Earth will be eliminated. As they walked out of the apartment, Jake realized his plan might have backfired in the worst possible way. He had been so focused on saving Zara that he had not thought about what would happen if he made the entire Kethvar Empire angry at Earth. Mrs. Baker was peeking through her door curtains as they passed. Jake tried to smile at her so she would not worry, but he was not sure he managed it. They walked to the parking lot where a vehicle waited that looked like a normal van, but hummed with the same energy as Vex's weapon. Jake had never seen it before, which meant it probably was not really a van at all. As Vex pushed them into the back of the vehicle, Jake caught Zara looking at him with an expression he had never seen before. It took him a moment to realize what it was. She was looking at him with respect, maybe even admiration. I am sorry, Jake, she whispered as the vehicle started moving. I never meant for your people to be in danger because of me. It's not your fault, Jake whispered back. Besides, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Empire won't want to fight 8 billion angry humans who now know they exist. But even as he said it, Jake was not sure he believed it. He had gambled with the safety of his entire planet, and he was about to find out if he had won or lost. The vehicle rose into the air without any sound that Jake could hear. Through the small window, he watched his city get smaller and smaller below them. Somewhere down there, his information was spreading from computer to computer, person to person. He just hoped it would spread fast enough to matter. The ship that Commander Vex brought them to was hidden in a valley deep in the Colorado mountains. It was bigger than Jake expected, about the size of a large house, and it looked like it was made of black metal that seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it. Inside, Jake and Zara were locked in a small room with walls that glowed softly. There were no windows and only one door. Jake tested the metal restraints around his wrists, but they would not budge. "How long do you think before we reach their empire?" Jake asked. "We are not going to the empire," Zara said quietly. "Vex is calling for backup. More hunters are coming here." "How do you know?" "I can hear their communications through the ship's systems. My people's hearing is better than yours." Zara sat on the floor with her back against the wall. "Jake, I need to tell you something. What you did back there with the information, it was very brave, but it may have made things worse for your planet. I know. But what else could I do? Let them take you without trying to stop them?" Zara stared at him with those silver eyes. "Yes. That is what most people would do. Even most of my people would not risk their entire world for one person. Well, I'm not most people." Before Zara could respond, the door opened and Commander Vex walked in. He looked different now, less confident and more angry. "Your information. Trick has caused problems, human. The Galactic Council has received your data. They are asking questions about the HFY Empire that we do not wish to answer." "Good," Jake said. "Not good for you. The Emperor has ordered your planet to be destroyed as an example to other primitive species who might think about interfering in galactic affairs." Jake felt like ice water had been poured into his stomach. "You can't do that. There are 8 billion innocent people on Earth. The Empire has destroyed planets with more people for less reason." Vex sat down across from them. "However, there is another problem. It seems your species is not reacting the way we expected." "What do you mean?" "See for yourself." Vex touched something on the wall and it became transparent, showing them a view of Earth from space. But the planet looked different. There were lights moving around it that had not been there before. "What are those?" Jake asked. "Your military satellites, and civilian satellites, and space stations. In the past day, every human government has launched everything they have into orbit. Your species is preparing for war." Jake stared at the lights, surrounding his planet. He had never been prouder to be human. "But that is not the strangest part," Vex continued. "Show me your global communications network." The wall changed again, now showing what looked like a map of the world covered in moving lines of light. Jake realized he was looking at the internet, visualized as data flowing between computers. "Your people are not panicking," Vex said. "They are organizing. In less than 24 hours, they have created groups to help alien refugees. They are making plans to defend other planets. They are teaching each other about galactic politics using the information you provided." On the wall, Jake could see messages and videos spreading across the network faster than he could read them. People sharing Zara's story, scientists analyzing the data about HFY war crimes, military experts making plans, citizens organizing protests and aid campaigns. "Here," Vex said, and the wall showed a news broadcast. A reporter was standing in front of the United Nations building in New York. "In an emergency session, the UN has voted to offer Earth as a sanctuary planet for refugees from the HFY Empire," the reporter said. "The president has announced that any being fleeing persecution will be welcome on Earth." Meanwhile, protests are being organized in major cities worldwide, calling for justice for the victims of what officials are calling the galaxy's largest genocide. Vex turned off the display. "Your species is strange, human. Most planets surrender when they learn about the Empire's power, or they try to make deals to save themselves. But your people want to fight for strangers they have never met." "That's what people do," Jake said. "When we see someone being hurt, we help them. Even when it is dangerous?" "Especially when it is dangerous." Commander Vex was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that surprised Jake completely. I have been a hunter for 20 years. I have killed enemies of the Empire on 100 worlds. But I have never seen anything like what your species is doing. What do you mean? You have known about the galaxy for 1 day. 1 day. And already you are willing to die to protect people you have never met. People who are not even your own species. Vex shook his head. In the Empire, loyalty must be earned through fear or reward. But your people show loyalty to complete strangers for no reason, except that it is right. Jake looked at Zara, who was staring at Vex with surprise. Vex, she said softly. Are you questioning your orders? The hunter stood up abruptly. I am a soldier of the Empire, I follow orders. But his voice did not sound as sure as his words. He left them alone again, but this time he did not lock the door. That was strange, Jake said. Vex is changing, Zara said. I can see it. Being around humans is affecting him the same way it affected me. What do you mean? When I first arrived, I thought your kindness was weakness. I thought helping strangers was stupid. But watching you, learning about your people, I started to understand that kindness is actually a kind of strength. Jake felt warm despite their situation. So what happens now? I do not know. More hunters are coming, but they will find something they do not expect. Your people are not acting like victims, they are acting like… Zara paused, looking for the right word. Like what? Like heroes. 2 hours later, the ship's communication system activated and filled the room with voices speaking in the Kethvar language. Zara translated for Jake. 3 more hunter ships have arrived. But they are reporting strange problems. Human satellites are tracking their every move. Human governments are broadcasting their locations and warning them to leave. Some of the hunters sound confused. Confused how? They are receiving messages from humans. Not threats, but questions. Humans are asking them why they follow orders, to hurt innocent people. They are asking the hunters to think about whether what they are doing is right. Jake grinned. Humans love to ask questions. And apparently, some of the hunters do not have good answers. The communication continued, and Zara's translation got more interesting. One hunter is reporting that his own crew is asking questions about their mission. Another says his ship has been contacted by something called the Galactic Council, demanding explanations. The Galactic Council? They are like judges for the galaxy. They make laws that all civilized species are supposed to follow. But the Empire has been ignoring them for years because we are too strong for them to punish. Until now? Until now, no one had proof of what we were doing. Your information gave the Council evidence they could not ignore. The door opened again and Commander Vex returned, but this time he was not alone. 2 other Kethvar hunters were with him, and they did not look happy. We have orders, one of the new hunters said. Destroy the planet, kill all witnesses, return the traitor to the Emperor. But Commander Vex held up his hand. Wait, I want to show you something first. He activated the wall display again. This time it showed a live broadcast from Earth. The image was of a massive crowd gathered in a city square. People of all ages and colors were holding signs and candles. What are they doing? The second hunter asked. They are mourning, Vex said. For people they never met. For entire species that the Empire destroyed. They are holding a memorial service for strangers. On the screen, a young human girl was speaking into a microphone. Her voice was small, but clear. My teacher told me that somewhere in space there are people who hurt others just because they can. She said a brave person named Zara tried to stop them, and now she might die for doing the right thing. That's not fair. So I want Zara to know that people on Earth think she's a hero, and I want the bad people to know that we're not afraid of them. The crowd cheered and the camera showed thousands of people wiping away tears and holding their candles higher. Commander Vex turned to his fellow hunters. Tell me, brothers. When was the last time anyone mourned for us? When was the last time anyone called us heroes? The 2 hunters looked uncomfortable. They had no answer. These humans have known about the galaxy for 1 day, Vex continued. 1 day, and they are already showing more honor than we have shown in 20 years of conquest. That was when Jake realized that Commander Vex had made his choice. And it was not the choice the Empire expected. The two hunters stared at Commander Vex like he had grown a second head. "You cannot be serious," the first hunter said. "These are primitives. They mean nothing." "Look at them again," Vex said, pointing to the wall display. "Look at what they are doing." The screen now showed multiple cities around Earth, and everyone humans were gathering, not to panic or hide, but to show support for Zara and other alien refugees. In London, people were singing. In Tokyo, children were drawing pictures of friendship between humans and aliens. In New York, scientists were holding up signs offering to share human medical knowledge with any species that needed it. "They know we could destroy their planet," Vex said quietly. "They know we have weapons they cannot fight. But instead of begging for mercy, they are offering to help strangers. Instead of thinking about themselves, they are thinking about justice." The second hunter stepped closer to the display. "But they are weak. Their technology is nothing compared to ours." "Are they weak?" Vex asked. "Or are we just afraid to admit that they are stronger than us in ways that matter?" Before either hunter could answer, alarms started going off throughout the ship. Red lights flashed and a voice spoke in the Kethvar language. "What's happening?" Jake asked. Zara listened to the announcement and her eyes went wide. "Galactic Council ships are entering this system. Lots of them." Through the ship's communications, they could hear panicked voices from the other hunter ships. The hunters had expected to find a helpless primitive planet. Instead, they found Earth defended by an entire fleet of Galactic Council vessels. "How did they get here so fast?" the first hunter demanded. "Because," Jake said with a grin, "humans are really good at making friends when we need to." The ship's main screen activated, showing a massive alien vessel that dwarfed even the hunter ships. A voice spoke in perfect English. "Kethvar vessels, this is Admiral Kree of the Galactic Council. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Your empire has been charged with genocide and crimes against sapient beings. Any attempt to harm the planet Earth or its inhabitants will be considered an act of war against the Council." Commander Vex looked at his fellow hunters. "Well, what are your orders now?" The two hunters exchanged glances. They had been trained to follow orders without question, but they had never faced a situation like this. "The Emperor will not be pleased," the second hunter said slowly. "The Emperor has been lying to us for years," Vex replied. "He told us we were protecting the Empire, but we were just helping him commit murder." The first hunter lowered his weapon. "What do? We do what these humans taught us," Vex said. "We do what is right." Within an hour, all three hunter ships had surrendered to the Galactic Council fleet. Jake and Zara were released and brought aboard the Council flagship, where they met Admiral Kree, a tall alien with blue skin and kind eyes who looked a little like Zara but older. "Miss Zara," the Admiral said, "your courage in exposing the Empire's crimes has saved countless lives. And Mr. Martinez, your actions have impressed the entire Council. We have never seen a species mobilize so quickly to defend others." "What happens now?" Jake asked. "Now the Kethvar Empire will face justice. Their leaders will be tried for their crimes. The planets they conquered will be freed. And Earth." Admiral Kree smiled. "Earth will be invited to join the Galactic Council as a full member." "After one day?" Jake was amazed. "Mr. Martinez, most species take decades to prove they are ready for galactic citizenship. Your people did it in 24 hours. You showed compassion, courage, and wisdom. Those are the qualities we look for in Council members." 3 months later, Jake was back in his Denver apartment. But now it was much busier than before. His living room had been converted into an office where he worked as Earth's first human representative to the Galactic Council. His job was to help other planets learn about human concepts like democracy, individual rights, and peaceful conflict resolution. Zara was there too, of course. She had been offered a position anywhere in the galaxy, but she chose to stay on Earth with Jake. She was now working as a cultural liaison, helping humans understand galactic society and helping aliens understand human values. "Any interesting calls today?" Jake asked as he came home from a meeting with the UN. 3 planets want to adopt human-style governments, Zara said from the kitchen, where she was learning to cook human food. 2 more species want to establish refugee programs, like Earth's. And Commander Vex called to say the democratic movement has reached 17 worlds now. Jake smiled. Vex had become one of the strongest voices for reform in the galaxy. His transformation from a hunter who followed orders without question to a leader who fought for justice had inspired many others to question their own governments. Oh, and Mrs. Baker brought cookies, Zara added. She says you're too skinny and I need to feed you better. Jake laughed. His elderly neighbor had quickly accepted having an alien living next door. She treated Zara like a granddaughter who needed to learn proper human cooking. That evening, they sat together on Jake's couch watching the news. The reporter was talking about the latest developments in what historians were already calling the Galactic Freedom Movement. 15 former Kethvar colonies have now established democratic governments based on the human model, the reporter said. The movement began just 3 months ago when a human programmer named Jake Martinez helped an alien refugee named Zara expose war crimes committed by the Kethvar Empire. Do you ever think about what would have happened if your transport system had picked a different location? Jake asked. Zara curled up next to him on the couch. Sometimes, but I think it brought me exactly where I needed to be. To my bed with no clothes in the middle of the night. To the person who would show me what it means to do the right thing, even when it's scary. Zara smiled. Besides, your species has a saying about this, right? Everything happens for a reason. Jake thought about that. 3 months ago, he had been a simple programmer living a quiet life. Now he was helping to reshape galactic civilization, all because he had chosen to help a stranger who needed it. You know what I think? Jake said. What? I think the universe knew exactly what it was doing when it brought you here. Maybe it was tired of watching good people suffer while bullies got to make all the rules. Maybe it decided it was time for someone to stand up and say that being strong doesn't give you the right to hurt others. And maybe, Zara said, it knew that humans were the perfect species to teach that lesson to the galaxy. Outside their window, the lights of Denver twinkled like stars. But now Jake knew that some of those lights were actually ships from dozens of different worlds, all coming to Earth to learn about this strange concept called human decency. As they watched the news coverage of the latest planet to overthrow its dictator and establish human-style rights for its citizens, Jake realized something important. He had thought he was just saving one person that night 3 months ago, but really he had been saving everyone. I love you, he said to Zara. I love you too, she replied. Thank you for showing me what it means to be human. Thank you for giving me a chance to prove it. And in apartments and houses and refugee centers all across Earth, other humans were having similar conversations with other aliens who had learned that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is choose to be kind. The galaxy was changing. One act of compassion at a time. It had all started with a stranger who appeared in a bed without warning, without clothes, and without hope. But she had found something on Earth that was rarer and more valuable than any advanced technology. She had found people who believed that doing the right thing was more important than being safe. And that belief was spreading across the stars.